Demon Slayer is full of characters that have unique anatomical attributes. Of course, we have a wide range of demons with their anatomies being their standout traits. We also have special demon slayers with special abilities, such as the Love Hashira having a muscle composition 8 times denser than the average human, or the protagonist Tanjiro having a sense of smell so strong that he can predict the moves of his opponents. However, a better example of a truly unique anatomy would be Genya Shinazugawa. This is a human who eats demons and gains demonic attributes and powers. Unlike other demon slayers, he has no talent for breathing techniques, but then again, there's no fun in everyone being the same. The issue lies in the fact that his brother, the Wind Hashira, Sanemi, is dead set against Genya being part of the Demon Slayer Corps, so much so that he blames it on his brother's lack of breathing techniques and even tries to cripple him over Genya consuming demons. But what is the truth behind this entire ordeal? Why is Genya so desperate to be a demon slayer that he resorts to such a trick? And how does he even pull it off? Let's discuss every little detail in this video, and also, of course, spoiler alert for anime-only watchers, as the Infinity Castle arc is yet to be animated, but is heavily discussed in our video. But without further ado, let's get right into it. Origins: the tragic backstory of Genya Shinazugawa. The brother of the Wind Hashira, Sanemi, Genya Shinazugawa hailed from a large family. He had 6 other siblings, a hardworking mother, and a father who was abusive to them and their mother. His father used to physically assault and beat up his wife and children, but the matriarch of the house always laid herself on the line to protect her children. For this reason, the children admired their mother and rightfully believed that she was amazing. Their father wasn't just horrible inside the house, but outside as well. Due to this, he had become the object of many people's wrath and hatred. Eventually, the patriarch was stabbed to death by one of the outsiders who hated his guts, following which the eldest son, Sanemi, and Genya vowed to protect their mother and their other siblings. One day, while their mother was out and the kids waited for her at home, it had gotten pretty late. Worried because she was never this late, Sanemi left the house to look for her. To put the other siblings at ease, Genya tried to convince them to go to sleep while he stayed alert alone. Suddenly, there was a loud knock at the front door, and the youngsters rushed to it despite Genya asking them not to, claiming that the person behind the door might not be their mother. Unfortunately, the door was immediately sliced open and the siblings were killed by the entity who had knocked. The altercation also led to Genya acquiring the scar that goes across his cheek. Sanemi arrived at the scene and Genya convinced himself that it was a wolf attack that had killed his siblings. To protect Genya from the entity, Sanemi tackled it out of the window and ordered Genya to flee immediately. However, Genya was in a state of shock and couldn't process the death of his siblings, so he tried to slow down their bleeding in vain and decided to look for a doctor while Sanemi fought the entity outside with his knife. Too bad Genya ended up stumbling across Sanemi and the entity, with his brother having taken out the perpetrator when Genya saw that his brother held a knife while the lifeless body of their mother lay there. What had originally happened was that their mother had been turned into a demon and she had come back home where she killed 4 of her children. Sanemi tried to fight her, and while victory against the demon seemed impossible, the gashes Sanemi acquired on his face caused his mother-turned-demon to be exposed to his unique Morechi blood. This is a blood type that is almost like a drug to demons, and consuming a human with Morechi blood provided a demon with nutrition worth 100 humans. Exposure to Sanemi's blood disoriented the demon, giving him the chance to kill her. While Sanemi knew the perpetrator was their transformed mother, Genya had convinced himself that it was a wolf. The scene of his mother's lifeless body in front of Sanemi broke his delusion and sent him into a frenzy. Unable to process the information, Genya protected himself mentally by claiming that Sanemi had murdered their mother, and he went on to cradle her body in his arms as it disintegrated into ashes with the rise of the sun. Eventually, Sanemi left on his own and fought off demons, restraining them using tricks and materials, allowing their bodies to turn to dust with the sun as he couldn't be around Genya anymore. He then ended up joining the Demon Slayer Corps. How Genya joined the Demon Slayers. With time, Genya realized his mistake and regretted shifting the blame to his brother. In an attempt to reconcile with him, he decided to join the Demon Slayer Corps as well, which was something Sanemi never wanted, as he wished for Genya to stay away from danger and demons at all cost. Matters were worse because Genya wasn't able to perform a breathing style at all. He made up for this though, as he soon discovered that he could eat demons and temporarily gain their abilities, such as regeneration, enhanced strength, and in extreme cases, even a blood demon art. The boy knew that his brother had become the Wind Hashira and tried to get close to the Hashiras, who would often have a special type of apprentice known as the Suguko. These were promising demon slayers who the Hashiras would mentor so they would become the next Hashira. Similarly, Genya wished to be the Suguko of the strongest Hashira, the Stone Hashira, Gyome Himejima. However, due to his lack of a breathing technique, Gyome never made him a Suguko. Instead, he treated Genya like a standard apprentice. Naturally, Gyome tried to reconnect with Sanemi, who had developed a very unpleasant and aggressive personality due to his harsh life and traumatic life experiences. When faced with his brother, Sanemi claimed that he had no brother and rejected Genya. We know he did that to keep Genya away from being a demon slayer, but Genya himself was never made aware of this, as Sanemi was no stranger to lashing out at him due to eating demons. And yet, Genya never let his hope of reunion die. Abilities. Hacks used by Genya to bypass the absence of a breathing technique. Genya's USP was his demon consumption and empowerment ability. He possessed unusually strong jaws and a very special digestive system, which allowed him to tear off a demon's flesh from its strong body, consume it, and digest it. The consumption led to Genya gaining the characteristics of a demon, albeit temporarily, which was reflected in his appearance as he would acquire yellow tips in his hair, dark sclera, and fangs. Depending on the strength of the demon and how much he consumed, Genya could gain weaker or stronger abilities. For starters, his physical attributes get a big upgrade. He becomes stronger and faster, allowing him to bypass the issue of not possessing a breathing technique. During his battle against the upper rank 4's clones, he was able to tear off the arm of the demon, hurl tree bark across long distances, and the like. He also acquires the ability to regenerate, as seen when the clone Aizetsu's technique created holes in his body, which he was able to heal. He was also able to heal a severed torso during his fight against the upper rank 1 Kokushibo, as consuming the flesh from the demon's katana made him stronger than ever before, since Kokushibo was the second strongest demon in existence. He was even able to hear, as his temporary demonhood allowed him to possess a somewhat weaker psychic link with Muzan. Most importantly, he was able to develop a blood demon art. Just like other demons, however, a demonified Genya was vulnerable to being beheaded by a Nichiren blade. He was also weak against Nezuko's blood demon art, Explosive Blood, which could harm only demons by making Nezuko's blood explode into flames on the surface of a demon. Consuming Kokushibo's flesh and hair had also turned his weapon of choice, a shotgun, into an imitation of the demon's katana, and he was able to manifest a demon slayer mark similar to the one possessed by the demon slayer turned demon. Against Hantengu, he had managed to behead 2 of the demon's clones, but of course, decapitation of the clones was pointless as long as the head atop the main body, which was in hiding, was still intact. One thing that allowed Genya to go so far despite not possessing a breathing style was his training with the Stone Hashira, where he learned the value of partaking in repetitive actions like Himajima did. This act was what led to the Hashira becoming the strongest Hashira of his time. Similarly, Genya would constantly repeat a set of phrases and words to focus on his task and max out his abilities. When he used this technique against Hantengu's clone Aizetsu, he was able to replicate the effects of total concentration breathing while dealing with a fatal injury, which he ended up regenerating. Fighting style. Genya's weaponry and blood demon art. When it comes to fighting styles, Genya wields several weapons. On one hand, he holds his trademark double-barreled shotgun with the cartridges being made of the Nichiren alloy. He also keeps a traditional Japanese sword made of Nichiren with him. He'd sneak up on his target and fire his shotgun at a demon. If he failed, he'd switch to his sword, but since he primarily used the shotgun, Genya had impeccable aim, which came in handy when he fought the clones of Hantengu. Since Nichiren bullets could harm demons, Genya tried to decapitate demons by shooting their necks off. After consuming the flesh from Kokushibo's katana, Genya's shotgun acquired fleshy eyes and veins like the demon's sword and shot out flesh cartridges instead of his usual Nichiren ones. As mentioned, he developed a unique blood demon art as well during this time. Known as vampiric trees, the blood demon art operates via Genya firing his flesh bullets towards his target. As the bullets permeate the target's skin, it grows into gigantic vampiric trees from within and roots into the ground. This is effective for immobilizing Genya's opponent, which is how he's able to restrain Kokushibo. However, there is a time limit to the blood demon art, due to which Genya had to launch it again to ensure that Kokushibo would stay put. As long as his flesh bullets remained within the demon, he could continue reactivating his blood demon art. To top that off, the technique stays true to its vampiric nature as it absorbs blood from its target to grow, and subsequently prevents them from using their blood demon art. For this reason, a restrained Kokushibo could not retaliate by using his own abilities. Demon Slayer Events Final Selection Arc. Genya first appears during the final selection exam in Season 1, which Tanjiro is a part of, as he has to graduate from being a trainee under former Water Hashira Uro Kodaki to an official Demon Slayer in the Corps. It's a 7-day trial where Genya has managed to survive. He also gets into a situation with the protagonist as Genya is seen hitting his crow and katana Ubu Yashiki while inquiring about his Nichiren sword. Tanjiro expresses his displeasure towards the rude behavior and threatens to break Genya's arm if he doesn't let katana go. Genya dares Tanjiro to do so, and the latter does end up breaking Genya's arm. The Mugan Train Arc. Like most characters, Genya plays a minimal role here, seen only in the Butterfly Estate for a brief moment, and then again after the Stone Hashira, who he was training with, receives the news of the Flame Hashira's death. Swordsmith Village Arc. This is the arc where Genya is prominently present for the first time. He's seen in the Swordsmith Village when Tanjiro finds him in the village's hot springs. He boasts rude behavior as he plucks out a tooth and throws it back. The tooth lands on Tanjiro, who calls for him, but Genya angrily orders him to drop dead and refrains from talking to him. He also doesn't show up for meals. A couple of days later, Tanjiro tries to engage him in a conversation again as he brings up the topic of the rusted Nichiren sword, and Genya hears about it impatiently until he can't anymore. He even breaks the rice cracker that Tanjiro had given him and asks him to get out. However, the protagonist points out how Genya's tooth has regrown, which shouldn't be possible for a human, and Genya kicks him out. Eventually, the village is attacked by the upper rank 5 Gyoko and the upper rank 4 Hantengu. While the Mist Hashira engages Gyoko, Tanjiro, Genya, Nezuko, and Mitsuri became the key players in fighting the versatile demon Hantengu, who can split into several emotion clones, with each clone boasting a different moveset. The first clone they fight is the anger clone Sekido, which takes place during Mitsuri's absence. While Tanjiro and Nezuko engage the clone, Genya blasts it with his Nichiren bullets, decapitating it. He tries the same with the pleasure clone Karaku, but fails to behead him properly. Genya pulls out his Nichiren sword soon after to finish the job, while Tanjiro asks him not to do so. Instead of listening to Tanjiro's advice, Genya finished the job, only for the clones to split into 4, with one of the new figures, the sorrowful clone Aizetsu, stabbing Genya through the chest with his spear. However, he's unable to pull the spear out of Genya, who surprises the demon by blowing his head to bits with his gun. The battle rages and Genya takes on 2 clones at once as he fights Aizetsu and Sekido. After defeating Aizetsu by spearing him with a nearby tree and ripping his head off with his hand, which should once again be impossible for a human, Genya faces Tanjiro. This is where we see his demon-like appearance for the first time. Once again, he picks an argument with Tanjiro where he claims that he'll kill the demon and denies Tanjiro playing a role in the defeat of the upper rank 6, Gyutaru and Daki. He even boasts that he'll become a Hashira before Tanjiro will. Tanjiro, being Tanjiro, acts supportive, and Genya finds it strange as he can tell that Tanjiro's intentions are pure. However, they're interrupted by Sekido's lightning attack. As the demon slayers realize that the main body, the tiny fear clone, has to be beheaded, Genya heads out to find it and realizes that it's the size of a rat. He's unable to shoot him due to his size, and he also fails at decapitating him as the blade breaks on contact with the demon's skin. Soon, Genya is ambushed by Sekido, and we see the boy looking back at the incident from his past where he had blamed Tsunemi for killing their family and mother. Here, Genya expresses how he wants to become a Hashira for the sole purpose of being accepted by his brother, who would often tell him how he should quit the Corps due to not possessing a breathing style. Of course, Genya is oblivious to the fact that Tsunemi only wants to protect him and, as a result, doesn't want him amidst the main action as part of the Demon Slayer Corps. Tanjiro and Nezuko save Genya from Sekido, while the other Hantengu clones combine to form Zohakuten, and neither Tanjiro nor Genya are strong enough to fight it. The day is saved by the arrival of the love Hashira Mitsuri, who engages the clone in battle. However, after she's stunned by the clone following a to and fro exchange of blows, Genya helps Tanjiro in protecting the Hashira as she is their only hope for victory. After she recovers, she rejoins the battle while Genya heads out with Tanjiro and Nezuko to find Hantengu's main body and behead it. Soon after, Zohakuten's wood demons restrain them, so Genya retaliates by eating part of the dragon. This allows him to free himself and his allies, and he gains new demonic abilities temporarily. The dragons are defeated, and they head after the primary body once again, with an angered Genya throwing a tree at it, only to miss. To protect himself, Hantengu's resentment results in the creation of another clone, with a larger body, similar to the smaller one manifesting around the main body, which now hides within the heart of the resentment clone. Genya rips off the demon's arms to protect Tanjiro, who had been grabbed by it. Nezuko attacks the demon as well, but Genya is affected in the process as consuming the demon has temporarily made him demonic, making him vulnerable to Nezuko's blood demon art. Because he gets severely injured, he's unable to continue aiding in the rest of the battle. Despite his frowny face and his aggressive attitude, Genya is seen smiling warmly towards the end of the arc after the upper rank 4 and 5 are defeated. The Hashira Training Arc. In this arc, Genya is sent to the Butterfly Estate alongside Tanjiro to heal from their injuries from the aforementioned battle. The Hashira training program has commenced, which leads to Genya and Tanjiro being present for Tsunemi's training, which is where things go south. Tanjiro overhears Genya trying to get the Wind Hashira's attention as Genya requests his brother listen to him. Tsunemi, however, dismisses Genya, claiming that he's not his brother, and goes so far as to threaten to kill him if he doesn't leave. He even demoralizes Genya, belittling him for not having a breathing technique and talks down to him to make him leave the Demon Slayer Corps as he cannot call himself a swordsman. Obviously, Genya is disheartened by his brother's behavior and yet continues to try his best. He explains that he always wanted to apologize to him, and according to Genya, Sanemi is dismissive of him because he had mistakenly blamed his brother for killing their mother. Sanemi, however, ignores him until Genya reveals that he has been eating demons to be able to fight. This revelation causes Sanemi to stop as he's angered and stomps his foot down. Suddenly, Sanemi vanishes and Tanjiro bursts into the room. What we see next is that Sanemi had only vanished to launch an attack on Genya as he was trying to gouge his younger brother's eyes out. However, Tanjiro pushes Genya out of harm's way. An argument breaks out between Sanemi and Tanjiro, with the latter asking if he had killing intent. Sanemi tells him that his intention was to cripple Genya to the point that he wouldn't be able to heal. However, he would be willing to forgive Genya if he left the Corps immediately. No one's aware that Sanemi's true reason for driving Genya away from the Corps is to protect him, so the Wind Hashira is villainized. The argument is intensified by Tanjiro sticking up for Genya as he claims that they wouldn't have been able to beat the upper rank 4 without Genya's assistance. So, Sanemi switches targets and attacks Tanjiro, shocking Zenitsu and Genya. Zenitsu is advised by Tanjiro to take Genya away while the latter tries to stop his brother. However, when Zenitsu expresses his pity towards Genya for having a lunatic as his brother, he doesn't take the insult lightly and punches Zenitsu in the face. The aftermath of the entire scuffle leads to Tanjiro and Genya being banned from making any contact with Sanemi. Neither of them get the opportunity to undergo the Hashira's training either, so they move on to the final step, training with the Stone Hashira Gyome for his muscle amplification training. Genya reveals how he was put under house arrest for approaching Sanemi and, for the first time, treats Tanjiro kindly as he thanks the protagonist for standing up for him. He even notices how Tanjiro's Demon Slayer mark has gotten darker as a result of the training, while Tanjiro struggles with being able to move the boulder. Since Genya has been the Stone Hashira's apprentice for quite some time, he's aware of the man's ways and decides to help Tanjiro. Genya reveals the art of repetitive movements, which he had learned from watching Gyome. He tells Tanjiro how it heightens concentration using predetermined actions, such as Gyome preying on his beads or Genya reciting the Nembutsu. Later that day, Tanjiro and Genya continue their chat, with the protagonist explaining how repetitive actions feel different from total concentration. Genya confirms this and explains how it's due to the new technique stirring up Tanjiro's emotions. Eventually, Tanjiro is able to overcome Gyome's training of moving the boulder due to Genya's advice. Later, at dinner, their discussion continues in the presence of Inosuke, who mocks Genya for not having a breathing technique, and the two get into an altercation. Genya even explains the hateful look given to him by Shinobu, which is due to the Insect Hashira hating anything to do with demons since she lost all of her loved ones to them. Around this time, Muzan pays a visit to Kagaya Ubuyashiki, who blows up his estate and sacrifices himself to kill Muzan. The Hashiras and Tanjiro arrive on site to fight off the now weakened Demon King, so to buy himself some time and regenerate completely, Muzan teleports every Demon Slayer to the Infinity Castle. At this time, Genya was practicing his shooting and was not at the scene of the action. However, he instantly finds himself teleported into the ever-changing castle controlled by the Biwa-wielding demon Nakime. The Infinity Castle Arc. This is the final arc where Genya appears. He's confused as he finds himself in the absurd castle and tries to find his way out of the demon-infested zone. At the same time, the upper-ranked demon Kokushibo, who's in the castle as well, comes face to face with his descendant, the Mist Hashira Muichiro Tokido. A fight breaks out between the two, with the demon being far stronger, although he acknowledges the Hashira's fine skills. Eventually, Kokushibo cuts off Muichiro's arm and uses the Demon Slayer's sword to impale him. He offers to let the man become a demon and serve Muzan when Genya arrives at the foray and interrupts their conversation. The boy fires his shotgun at the upper rank one, which the latter avoids. He immediately appears behind Genya, cuts off his arms, and slices his torso in two. This should ideally kill Genya, but it doesn't, so Kokushibo is quick to understand that Genya has been eating demons to gain their powers. This also means that he can only be killed if his head is chopped off. Kokushibo closes in to behead Genya when Sanemi arrives to save his brother from the demon. The fight continues and even Gyome joins the party. At this point, both Genya and the Mist Hashira are out of the battle due to their injuries, while the other two Hashiras struggle against the upper rank one. As the pressure heightens and both Gyome and Sanemi take substantial damage, Muichiro rejoins the fight. Meanwhile, Genya recalls a conversation he had with Tanjiro and gets motivated. So when he gets access to a broken piece of Kokoshibo's flesh katana, Genya eats it to gain strength. Not only is he able to regenerate completely, but his gun transforms to look somewhat similar to Kokoshibo's katana. He even develops develops his blood demon art of vampiric trees, and the Nichiren bullets in his shotgun transform into flesh bullets. Gyome severs the demon's right arm while Muichiro impales his torso when Genya shoots Kokoshibo. The bullets pierce through the demon's body and erupt into vampiric trees that grow using Kokoshibo's blood and prevent the upper rank one from using his blood demon art. With him immobilized, Sanemi and Gyome head in for the kill. Desperate to not be defeated and enraged, Kokoshibo sprouts blades from his body and injures all 4 of his opponents. However, Muichiro and Genya aren't hit with mortal wounds. The 4 of them continue to fight, and Genya unleashes his blood demon art again to root another tree into Kokoshibo's back, while Sanemi and Gyome try to land another hit. The Hashiras turn their Nichiren weapons red, and Kokoshibo is beheaded. To everyone's surprise though, the demon regrows his head. However, he begins to experience an identity crisis with respect to his complicated relationship with his brother, check our video on Kokoshibo for more information, and his new grotesque appearance, which leads to his body disintegrating as he dies. While this allows Genya to be part of one of the main battles in which he has a tremendous contribution, his injury is too serious. Kokoshibo's attack chopped off what seems to be the entire left side of his body. Gyome is astonished to see that Genya isn't yet dead and believes it's due to the demonification that he managed to live this long. As he takes his final breaths, he calls out to Sanemi, who is still alive. The Wind Hashira is shocked to see Genya like that and rushes towards his brother, screaming as his body disintegrates like that of a demon. Genya apologizes to his brother and gives a short but heartfelt speech, claiming that Sanemi is the nicest brother and that he's grateful to him for watching out for him. Sanemi, on the other hand, is freaking out as he doesn't want Genya to die, but the tragedy proves to be inevitable as he disintegrates into dust while the Wind Hashira holds his brother's body. Reincarnation! Towards the end of the manga, we see many of the key characters reincarnated into a happy future in the modern era, and the same can be said for Sanemi and Genya, who are now policemen together. Marvelous verdict! Genya's existence adds a unique spin to a story that revolves around demons eating humans for nourishment and to get stronger. For the first time, we see a human eating demons to gain their abilities instead. However, his biggest contribution to the plot isn't in terms of anatomy or battle, but concerning emotion, as we get to see a tragic, heartfelt, and complex relationship between 2 brothers who love each other dearly but cannot show it due to the unfortunate circumstances of their youth. With that, today's video comes to an end. Did you enjoy it? What did you think of Genya's tragic story? We want to hear your thoughts in the comments down below. Until next time, this is Wheezy249 signing off, but you can always find me on Twitch. And until next time, thanks for watching, stay safe out there, and have a marvelous day.